Shadow work can help you to ease back together. Your aim will be to learn self acceptance, self love, and to be able to express your negative emotions in a healthier way. Figure out what triggers you and starting to deal with the feelings that arise when it happens will give you a sense of power and control. You will learn to examine your excuses and start to ask yourself if you can begin to approach the obstacles without them. You will begin to acknowledge unpleasant sensations in your body when negative situations arise. These are signals to help you notice and heal your shadow self and its perceived hurts. You will always have your shadow and should be gracious towards it. It is there, believing that it is protecting you from the wrongs that have long since passed. You can learn to be thankful for its help while releasing any negative emotions your shadows feel you need. Move through these promptings with love and kindness for yourself, and you will be emerging with a happier place and a healthier place. Okay, we are going to do a little work now. Someone asked me what triggers are. Let's go over good triggers. Good triggers comfort you. When I'm very stressed out, a trigger is chocolate milk. Somehow that comforts me. Another good trigger is like clean sheets. When you make your bed and you have clean sheets, they smell so good. It just is a great trigger. There's certain things in your life that are good triggers. So let's go. So you're going to learn to embrace your whole self. So write these down. What feelings am I scared to explore or accept? How did my childhood shape the person I am today? What would I like to tell my younger self? Who has helped me heal in the past? Are they available to help me again? How do I feel when I judge myself harshly? Is it my voice I'm hearing or someone else's? How do I sabotage myself and why? How do I want to feel most of the time? Anything preventing me from doing so? Where do I feel most at peace? Where can I go to heal? How can I challenge the things I don't like about myself and my life? Quote, I am in the process of accepting myself fully. Question, the things I most judge my partner for is? What do I struggle with most? What things can I not change? How do I feel if I accept these things? What do I do about not liking certain things about myself? What things do I not like about others? And how does that reflect through me? The ways that I reject or invalidate myself are: I could be kinder to myself by, how I spend my days is how I spend my life. How does this make me feel? Am I mimicking any patterns from my parents? How do I feel when I notice an unhealthy pattern surfacing? What can I change to break unhealthy patterns? When I think about my future, I am most excited about. How do I think others see me? I think others miss this when seeing me. When I sabotage myself, it prevents me from doing, having, or being. Do I hold grudges? Does it benefit me? When I think about my present life, I'm most proud of. What are the current problems in my life? Could they be seen as an opportunity? Quote, let yourself feel your feelings fully. It's the heart of shadow work. Question, when I react poorly, what can I do to soothe myself and learn? I am ashamed of myself because my close friends and family can support me better by. When I'm rejected, I do this. Could rejection actually help me? I find forgiveness challenging when. Can I forgive the people in my life that have hurt me? How would my life be different if I forgave them? Okay, I'm going to stop on that one. You can forgive people in your life for harming you. You can rectify the relationship if you choose to. Forgiveness doesn't mean that you have to stay in a toxic relationship. Just keep that one in mind. Question, the names of people who trigger me and why. The things that trigger me, do I see any of them in myself? Quote, most of the shadows of this life are caused by standing in one's own sunshine. Question, what beliefs do I expect others to conform to? Why am I scared to let go of them having their own beliefs? Getting triggered can be a positive thing because what I want and what I need are not always the same. How do I feel about this statement? I feel the most energized when. What does freedom mean to me? I really want to be appreciated for. I crave recognition for. Stress means resistance to something I don't yet know about myself. What stresses me out and why? Okay, so now we're going to own our own shadow. Today, whole businesses are devoted to containing our shadows for us. The movie industry, fashion design, and novels provide us with easy places to investigate our own shadows. Newspapers offer us daily allotment of disastrous crimes, horrors to feed our shadow nature outwardly when it should be incorporated into each of us as integral part of our own personality. We are left with less than whole personalities when we investigate our own darkness into something outside of ourselves. Projection is always easier than a simulation. It is a dark page in humanity's history when people make others bear their shadows for them. Men lay their shadows upon women, whites upon blacks, Catholics upon Protestants, capitalists upon communists, Muslims upon Hindus. Neighborhoods will make one family a scapegoat, and these people will bear the shadow for the entire group. Indeed, every group unconsciously designates one of its members to be the black sheep, and makes him or her carry the darkness for the community. This has been so for the beginning of our culture. Each year the Aztecs chose a youth and a maiden to carry the shadow, and then ritually sacrificed them. The term boogeyman has an interesting origin. In India, old India, each community chose a man to be the boogeyman. He was to be slaughtered at the end of the year and take the evil deeds of the community with him. The people were so grateful for this service that until his death the boogie uh, was not required to do any work and could have anything he wanted. He was treated and represented as a representative of the next world. Since he had the power of the collective shadow in him, he was supremely powerful and feared. From India through the West, we still have the threat. The boogeyman will get you if you are not good. This is how we frighten children into goodness with the dark side of life. Our Old Testament has many examples of sacrifice as the device of expelling the shadow, the sins of the people. It might be argued that the ancient and medieval people could only cope with his shadow by projecting it into an enemy. But modern man cannot continue this dangerous process. The evolution of consciousness requires us to integrate the shadow if we are the product of a new age. This is an awesome subject, yet the shadow often shows itself in petty and mundane ways. In a friend whose father was a retired professor, the family dog, old and difficult, had to be put into a kennel each winter. Yet when it was brought home again each spring, the whole household brightened. The old man now kicked the dog instead of taking his shadow out on the other members of the family. It is not uncommon for people to keep a pet to carry their dark side. People, the worst damage is done when parents lay their shadow on their children. This is so common that most people have to work very hard to throw off their parents' shadow before they can begin their own adult lives. If a parent lays his shadow on a young child, then splits the personality of the child and sets the ego shadow warfare into motion. Excuse me. When the child grows up, he will have a large shadow to cope with, more than just a cultural shadow that all of us carry. He will carry also the tendency to put the shadow upon his own children. The Bible tells us that the sins of a man shall be visited until the third and fourth generation. If you wish to give your children the best possible gift, the best possible entry into life, remove your shadow from them. To give them a clean heritage, psychology speaks, is the greatest legacy. You will go far in your own development by taking your shadow back into your private psychology structure when it first originated and where it is required for your own wholeness. There is a wonderful saying contributed to Mahatma Gandhi. If you follow the old code of justice, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, you end up with a blind and toothless world. You can refuse a shadow projection and stop the endless cycle of revenge if you have your own shadow under conscious control. To be in the presence of another's shadow and not reply is nothing short of genius. No one has the right to dump his shadow on you, and you have the right to self project. Still, we all know how easy and how very human it is to have these attacks. At times, the conscious observer is us standing back and saying, "There but for a grace of God go I." We can be grateful for our enemies, and for our darkness allows us to escape our own. Heaping abuse does great damage, not only to others, but to us as well. For we project our shadow, and we give away the essential ingredients of our own psychology. We need to connect with this dark side of our own development. We have no business flinging it at others, trying to palm it off on awkward and unwanted feelings. The difficulty is that most of us live in this web of shadow, exchange that robs both parties of their potential wholeness. The shadow also contains a great deal of energy. It is a cornerstone of our vitality, a very cultured, excuse me, I'm losing my voice, a very cultured individual with equal strong shadow has a great deal of personal power. When we can face our inner heaven and our inner hell, this is the highest form of creativity. There are certain times we can do good by carrying other people's shadow consciously. There is a wonderful story that shows what happened when we stand back and do nothing and allow the projection to run its course. A young Japanese girl in a small fishing village became pregnant, but was living in her parents' house. The villagers pressed her to the name of the father to point a finger at the renegade. After many angry words, she finally confessed. "It is the priest," she said. The villagers confronted the priest with this. "Ah, so," was all he said. For months after, the people were very down on the simple priest. Then the young man, who had been away from the village for some time, returned and asked to marry the girl. It turned out that he was the father of the child, and the girl had made up the unlikely story to protect him. Then the villagers went to the priest and apologized. "Ah, so," he said. The story shows the power of waiting while others do their shadow work. The priest did the villagers a great service by his silence, but not protesting or denying the situation. He left enough room for people to work through the problem amongst themselves. They later had asked, "Why were you so ready to believe the girl? Why did we side against the priest? How did we face the discomfort and anxiety we feel within ourselves?" Such things can only be accomplished if our own shadow is reasonable well in hand, and we are not tempted to plan our own retaliation. We must remember how easy it is to give a gift and then soil it with some shadow quality that is lurking in the background. We are advised to love our enemy, but this is not possible when the inner enemy is our own shadow, is waiting to pounce and make the most of an indiscretionary situation. If we can learn to love the inner enemy, then there is a chance of loving and redeeming the outer one.